And in no short term is her name reflective of her progression and what she's been doing over the years. Some of you may know and go back to our Blog Talk Radio interview, which was some years ago, which we will share once we post both of these guest interviews. It is a very humid day. It's got to be at least 90, 95 degrees out there. And what was interesting is that this morning we did a live chat called Perseverance. And it was appropriate because Orly has persevered. I'm going to joke with her because I remember when we used to talk and she was in her kitchen. And through Perseverance, Orly has built a number of initiatives and projects, and one which I have actually participated in, which people have told me afterwards. I've even interviewed Miss Robin Graham, for example, Orly, who said that you have been an inspiration and a thought leader. And I know you do a number of things, but I like to have you, the guests, say what you do in your terms as opposed to framing it like typical interview and hosts that will frame out the conversation. So without further ado, Orly Amor, she is and I believe it's correct to say you are a lawyer. You're not practicing.
Correct.
Excellent, excellent. You have a number of certifications. You have at least 4 initiatives going on at any one time. And when we did meet in Brooklyn, New York, at a Toastmasters event, no less, you said that you were going to be building a number of things, a number of initiatives. I want to start off with the Health Network. Tell us about your Health Network.
So it's called the Health and Wellness Network of Commerce because I didn't want to call it the Chamber of Commerce. In New York, it would have to be a 501c3, which is a nonprofit. That's the law for chambers of commerce. They have to be nonprofits. The second part of it, I wanted it to be a bridge between health and wellness professionals and corporate professionals. So it's the mission of the Health and Wellness Network of Commerce, which I will frame as HWNCC, is, and everybody asks me, what is the second C for, right? So, because it is CC, so everybody says, isn't that a Chamber of Commerce? I'm like, no. Right. So it's the Health and Wellness Network of Commerce Corporation, Inc. So it's not only the name is corporation, but it's also incorporated as a corporation. So it confuses people. Of course, I'm going to do that. I can never make anything simple. And the mission is to be a platform for health and wellness professionals, practitioners, service and product providers to network with corporate professionals while giving them a sustainable system for both.
Now, now, I'm going to cut you off here because you said sustainable health. And in business, we always talk about achieving our goals and objectives. And then the true test of your capabilities and competence is sustaining it. Why did you use the word sustaining? And what have you noticed in the demands of business owners and corporate executives that they require that level of support, that direction of support?
Well, Ronald, that's a great question because as you know, and you have a few businesses and so do I, having a vision for our business is one thing, having a mission for our business, having our own talents, bringing in talent is awesome. But sustainability comes from growth, and growth requires certain more talents, more support. And sometimes when we are not supported, we can actually burn out. If we are not supported in that growth, if we don't know how to plan for that growth, then we are really not sustainable. That's why most businesses fail between 3 and 7 years. And I always tell people, the Health and Wellness Network of Commerce is now 6 years old. We are in our 7th year, and we've just expanded even more. And that's where you have, where the rubber meets the road. The 7th year is the most crucial one and if you are going to implement anything new into your business, you really need to be watchful. So why am I doing? Why do I think this is very important? Because sustainability is what brings your legacy to life. You are not here to just change one life. You're here to impact other people's life. And when you own a business, your responsibility is beyond your own family. It's beyond yourself. You have the responsibility of the people that work for you, the people you serve, and the people that they are responsible for. So it's a lot further than just me. It's, it goes exponentially, and it's like the ripple effect, the pebble in the pond, I would say.
Well, you talk about wellness and sustainability. We're seemingly coming out of a pandemic. We'll see this winter when the full effect of the vaccines will be recognized, and we'll also see the fourth and fifth. I'll call it an iteration as it's morphed. The virus has morphed a number of times, and we'll see how that works. When we talk about sustainability in business, businesses have had to move, of course, to remote and virtual delivery systems. Those that obviously need bodies moving product and services to their clients and end users have had to change the way, or at least communicate that they've taken necessary steps to safeguard that client's delivery of value, of service. What have you heard in the market, from the marketplace, that businesses and how businesses have adapted to this pandemic?
Also a great question. I think that we have to, I don't like to call it a reality check, but it is a reality check. We all have to have that check and balances that come into play. Where can we pivot? I like to use the word pivot, because pivoting is not necessarily changing everything. It's like, the movie Airplane, stop, don't panic, right? And then, okay, panic. But it's not about panicking. It's about looking at face value. What are we doing? How can we serve our clients better? Or in the interim, do not change too much that we also encounter another expense to the company, that we can no longer service the elementary stuff that we need to do. And I'll give you an example. How many employees are working remotely? Many employees are working remotely, and the companies had to pivot the way that they communicate with the employees. They had to pivot the way they pay the employees. It's no longer a paycheck that goes into your bank account. It's sometimes into your debit card. I mean, there were so many different modalities that had to be implemented, but that's called pivoting.
So,
and yes, go ahead.
No, go, please continue.
I'm good.
So when we talk about pivoting, as a SBA certified SCORE mentor, I've heard a lot of businesses saying that the payroll protection funds have either dried up, or they haven't been able to get in touch with people that can help them move their services along or get into contracts. Specifically, because a lot of small businesses try to get those procurement contracts, and the payment protection, payroll protection, was a safe gap, right? It was a period of time. There's phase one, there's phase two. At this point, I believe phase one is closed. And from my information I'm getting from my peers at SCORE, phase two is still open. What are some of the other needs that you've heard from your network that businesses are looking for so that they can survive, sustain themselves, and, as you say, pivot?
Actually, it's a sad story. Not everybody got those PPPs. Not everybody got those loans. And not everybody got what has been promised, because they still had to deal with a certain credit score. Even a company's credit score had to endure the loss, and then not being able to sustain their score because they had to lose on revenue, they had to create a credit loss, and therefore now they cannot get credit. So even so, there it's like a vicious cycle that was created from the pandemic. So their pivoting point had not been to get any help from the government or from their local authorities or from the local banking. They had to pivot in creating another stream of revenue that is easier for the consumer to be able to pay and to still be viable. And those who didn't come up with that had to close, unfortunately, and many jobs were lost in those circumstances. And so I feel that that's a very sad story in our economy, that we are not able to help everyone.
And I'm glad you said that, because I know they've been pushing the fact that service industry is coming back, restaurants, entertainment, sports, but everybody can't survive all the time. We have multiple technical and fundamental avenues and schools, SBA, SCORE, SBDC. Most of the colleges have some kind of assistance. You provide a networking opportunity, which I think is more valuable, because you're talking to the grapevine of the business community, and they're expressing their concerns. And I'll give you an example. I've made friends with a number of different businesses. One is a pawn shop where people take their goods and services to get credit. So they may get 70, 80% of the value of that product. It could be a chainsaw, it can be jewelry, it can be pottery. It could be a collector's item of stamps, okay? That indicates what's going on in the economy. We also see, as a former mortgage banker, requests for permits, which are typically indications of 6 to 9 months of potential economic growth or decline. What have been, in that respect, what have your network members shared with you that they're trying to achieve, that they're looking for in terms of assistance, alternate ways of doing business? And I'll give you a quick other example. We did a quick live chat the other day about bartering. We need to be more flexible. You talk about pivoting, and that's what that brought to mind. So I'm looking at the pawn shop that shows, is there an increase or decrease in people using alternate forms of raising money? Are people recognizing that they can go back to a bartering process for a period of time, or for a certain type of product or service? Do you see anything of that nature, that kind of creativity?
Okay, so in a way, I'm going to say that I'm going to pivot even the conversation a little bit, because what I do for a living is that I do own a few companies, and we have been thriving through the pandemic. In my coaching and my speaking business, I could tell you that I tripled my business during the pandemic. So I would say that the pivoting part is becoming a consultant, a coach, or a speaker has helped many people pivot to that realm, in the fact that in the realm of public speaking, coaching, consulting, that industry is actually growing. So when people are thinking of the brick and mortar or losing their job in the corporate world, they can pivot in doing something that is from home and still taking care of their family. In the pivoting part that you're talking about, for me anyway, and for what I've seen and what I coach people on, is your network is your net worth. The reason I created a networking environment for the past 6 years is what has saved me for the past 24 years. And we have seen this, not maybe in the impact that this pandemic has gotten through, but we've been through a recession. We've been through other things that have cost us tremendous turmoil financially. 2008 crash and so on. I mean, there's so many that we can go back to and say, oh my God, we thought the world was going to end in certain places, right? 2000, the Y2K, my goodness, everybody thought that all the computers in the world are going to crash, the world was going to end. And here we are today, and we're thriving in those technology industries. So I would just like to just one more 30 seconds of your time
Please.
to say that in the industry of public speaking, coaching, and consulting, we are a million coaches short in the world and a million speakers short in the world. That means to me that there is expansion and there is other ways to pivot your business.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to now take this to a bit of an international perspective. And the reason is I just saw an incredible program on Benin, which is a West Coast country on the continent of Africa. And I've also been studying Singapore. After 40 years, it's become an international business hub for call centers and even medical supplies and distribution. So we've got Singapore, Benin, Ghana has its own infrastructure that has been helped by China, as people know that there's an incredible cross-continental railroad that China is building. Can American business owners, because many are immigrants, I'm an immigrant to this country.
So am I.
I look at how other countries where they don't have easy access and accessibility to what we have, and yet they can be thriving. And quickly, there's a lady in Vietnam. Many people know America was at war with Vietnam. She has an international bottling company that has been so successful that came out of that war-torn country that Coca-Cola pitched her and she said, I don't want you. I don't need you. So taking that perspective, which I love, we don't have to be the biggest buffalo in the woods, right? To be happy, to be successful, to be sustainable, to be healthy, to your point. Have you seen any of the businesses look internationally for not just opportunities, but ways of doing business?
Well, absolutely. I think that when we are truth seekers and we leave our ego at the door, I think that when we look at, again, I go back to what I said in the beginning. It's called a reality check, right? Where am I putting my efforts and my study, right? I mean, you got to study your business. And somebody really, really cool said, you got to learn the rules of the game so you can break them. But you got to learn the rules of the game so you can play well and grow from there. Now, the rules of the game is your business. And if you don't learn your own business well, then how can you play well with others around the world? Because the opportunities are definitely there. In any industry, I believe that there's no lack of opportunity. There's lack of diversity, and there's a lack of a variety, because that's what we are. Americans have that, and so does the rest of the world. And I think the world collaboration is underused. I think the world partnership is underused. I think that people's egos get in the way. People's politics get in the way. People's, beliefs, not beliefs, but it's more than beliefs. It's like, it's what fanatism is. Fanatism is like, no, it has to be this way. And unfortunately, when you get stuck like that, you're not able to see the bigger picture of the opportunity that's out there for you and your business worldwide or even just nationally.
You do some publishing with 600,000+ hard copy paperback books published a year, untold millions more of ebooks and what they call flip books, which I just found out, which is another form of delivering. What service, I should say, at what level of service do you help people to get their message out?
My main one is helping people get their message out through public speaking, because it's the business of public speaking. I do not teach people how to speak, nor do I teach them how to deliver a speech, but I do help them get paid to speak, because the industry of public speaking is $100 billion industry a year. and they're announcing that it will grow by the end of 2022. It'll be $13.2 billion more. And I'm thinking, hold on a second, are we talking the same language? Are we on the same planet? Because if everything else is gloom and doom, how are we making more money? But then when I look at what has happened in the past year, where corporations need more support on mental health, on leadership, on sales, on just trainings, they need those speakers. They need those people who come from different walks of life that have a message for the masses, and they're willing to pay for it. So I always say, if you have a message, somebody's willing to pay for it, as long as you know how to do this business. So I help people get out there. My personal mission is to impact the lives of 200 million by 2025. And we're about 103 million right now. So we'll get there.
What are the skills that someone needs to be successful as a speaker?
Being organized, being consistent, have a good follow-up and follow-through system. You see, I always used to say that there's three things that you can't teach a speaker. You can't teach them personality, charisma, and authenticity. And since the pandemic, I added to that one more: integrity. It is proven that 48% of speakers don't even respond to event planners. I know. 48%. That is a huge number. Can you imagine running a business with 48% response? That is ridiculous, right? With no response from your clients. How would you like to do that kind of business? I don't know what I would do, but I don't think I would want to do that kind of business. And the reason if speakers don't respond to event planners has nothing to do with them being good or bad speakers. It has to do with them not having their stuff together. The things that they're being asked to produce are not in place. Therefore, they need 2-3 weeks to go get those things prepared. So I prepare it for them so they don't have to do that anymore. They just have to be ready all the time.
Are you doing business in any other country at this time?
Yes, I'm in the UK, Australia, and Israel, and Canada.
What do you find are some of the nuances as a businesswoman working in those countries? And I say this because as an instructor in the project management world, a young lady was going for her certification and she was going to go to Syria. And unfortunately, even her employer told her, this is going to be a difficult contract because they don't speak to women in authoritative positions. Now, that is more the obvious. And we also know women are breaking through in the United Arab Emirates with actually learning and having to drive and then moving into sports, professional sports driving, and they're beating the hell out of men. Must be something to do with that carefree spirit. Yeah. So can you share with us just a few nuances in each of those countries that you have experienced that you can help business owners adapt?
When I mentioned earlier about, knowing the rules of the game, right? I think that women who are thriving in those countries, they know the rules of the game, right? I learned a long time ago that if you go to China or Japan and you give somebody your business card, you're supposed to hand it them upside down in with two hands.
I knew the two hands, but I didn't know upside down.
Upside down, because you don't want to make it too obvious that you are, like it's me kind of a thing. You don't want to be pretentious. So you want to make it upside down so they can flip it if they want to and not look at it right away if they don't want to. And, so everything is cultural in those countries. In every country, there is a culture barrier. So we need to study that. I remember I went to school to learn Chinese for a whole year. And after a whole year, I only got, out of the 5,500 characters and 4 intonations, I think I got 2 intonations right and 2,000 characters right. And I was scared to practice because I was so scared of the culture of insulting somebody. That was my biggest fear. And then so I gave up on that and I went into Japanese. Now in Japanese, it's a little easier but it's not that easy. It's easier because they only have one intonation, still a bunch of 5,000 something characters as well. And they have the R and the L in their language. So my point to you is that culturally, if we even learn how to deal with the Arab countries, as long as when you're a woman, you need to cover your head, you need to cover your arms, you need to ask for permission to enter the room, you have to ask for permission to speak. And if you want to get in, it's not that they don't want to speak to women, they want to know that you understand the hierarchy of your position at that moment. Once you show them your knowledge and what you can bring to the table, they might, increase their respect for you, but you will never be at the level of a man in those countries. So get that out of your head, kind of a thing, right? And that's okay. Women in those countries are taught to serve men. It's not a bad thing. It's just the way it is in the household, right? But there are women who thrive completely, who are actually head of states and head of very big bureaucracy in those countries. My aunt was one of them in Israel. I mean, it's not a Arab country, but at the end of the day, it wasn't easy to get to that kind of a position as a woman. And so I'm just saying, it's cultural. The part about learning the rules of the game for women, it's everywhere. And it's not, it doesn't diminish our strength. It doesn't diminish it's all in our own heart and mind. We have to give our own self, our own value, and it will be respected as such.
How do you sustain your energy, your performance from the days, the weeks? What's your methodology? What's your approach?
I love that question, Ronald. When I get asked that, because I know I'm a bubble of energy and I'm like this all the time.
Yes.
People are like, how do you do it? Like, you have all these companies, you're doing so many things. How do you keep your energy up? And my answer to that is one word. And I keep going to that same word: passion. You cannot survive the way I do. I mean, like, I sleep well. Believe me, when I do sleep, I sleep well. But I do sleep my few hours a year. I mean, a year. Yeah, that's true too. A day. I have.
No, I'm going to steal.
I have a
sleep a few hours a year.
I admit to it, right? I
love that one.
It's so funny. I have a sleep number bed, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because when I say to my husband, I'm exhausted, I don't know how come. My bed told me that I was resting for 8 hours. I'm like, I don't know. My bed must be wrong because I feel like I want to sleep more. But the truth of the matter is I sleep very well, but I wake up with that anticipation for what the day will bring. I'm just happy to be up. I'm happy to be alive every day. I mean, I always tell people, because of my story, every day above ground is a good day. So we can do something with it. We can change things. We can change our mindset. We can change our environment. We can change everything about what we want to aspire to be. It's not all set in stone. If you made a decision yesterday and today you want to change it, guess what? God gave us that will to change our mind.
You talk about, you have a magazine as well about public speaking experts. What has changed in how you present that content? And I'll frame it in this way. Most people have some form of newsletter, wonderful. Most people have some form of blog, marvelous. At the same time, videos have become a significant contribution to holding the attention of your viewer.
True.
And I know many years, it's got to be at least 10 years, that the New York Times magazine, because I used to read it every Sunday, went to a ridiculous, I think, font number 3, which, I was much younger at the time, but even now, I can't read that. I'm not going to force myself to read that. So in light of technology, in light of delivering engaging content in a visually stimulating way, how are you using, and if magazine is an interpretation of how what you're doing? Please clarify that for me. Or is it a traditional magazine?
Well, it's first of all, it's a digital magazine.
Mm-hmm.
It is called the Speakers and Experts Magazine and Directory, and the it's meant for event planners only, right? And the event
Okay.
planners have opted in to receive it once a month or twice a month. Now it's twice a month
Okay.
because it's all about speakers, and sometimes it's nice to just have something to flip through digitally to just find a speaker. But if you think about it, TV and radio still work under those guidelines where they need a guest for their magazine. I mean, for their shows.
Yep.
They go to a directory that has the publicist of all these superstars, Angelina Jolie, all these guys. They have a directory to go to in order to get those celebrities. So I just created one for speakers so that they are in front of the event planners. The event planners have a one-stop shop, and it's so much easier for everybody to be connected when needed.
Do you suggest that from that profile introduction that we as speakers, and I include myself, we also use video content, maybe a short 2-minute webinar, I say an info commercial. Hopefully that's not aging me too much.
No.
Info commercial. What would you say should go into a speaker's press kit? And I'll preface that with electronic digital press kit.
I need to emphasize a couple of things on this, because one is that they did a survey in March of 2019 of the most stressful jobs in America, North America, Canada, United States. And out of 100, number one was military jet fighter plane pilot. Number two was air traffic controller. And number 6 was event planner. I want to just bring this to you guys' attention at the end of the day. They don't have time to read your press kit. You can send that all day long. Nobody is reading it, just so you know. That's great. God bless if you have one. That's all I'm going to say. If you have a website, God bless if you have one. That's not where they go. That's great. But a lot of people say to me, well, I have a speaker sheet, 90 or a one sheet. I don't know what, you know what? There is a difference between speaker sheet and media sheet. And I actually have a 2 blog article, if you want, on LinkedIn to go read it. That's on LinkedIn if you want to see the difference between what a speaker sheet is and what a media sheet is. And what happened was that now speakers became so lazy, they put it all in one and then called it a one sheet. Everybody changed the language, right? It's called a one sheet now. I'm like, okay, but speaker sheet is to get more speaking gigs, and media sheet is to get more media appearances, such as TV, blog, podcasts, etc. Beautiful. That's what they're meant for. A one sheet, I don't know what it's for. If it has both inside, doesn't good. It's no good.
Doesn't cut it.
Doesn't cut it. Now, a lot of people don't like to do social media. I am one of them. Please understand. I do not like social media, but having a little bit of social media here and there, you get looked on as having a little bit of social proof. If it gets you clients, God bless. Good for you. I don't know how to do it. I'm not the expert. Thank God. I can only do so much in one day. So I hire people for those things. Yes. Yeah, perfect. And then there is what I call the video part. Right? It is very important that you have a sizzle reel, which is about 2 minutes about you and a little bit about you on a stage, a little bit of an interview with you, maybe a couple of testimonials from people who heard you speak, and a narrative about you. And it maybe is a couple of minutes. You can watch one on my website, orlyamor.com. That is not my sizzle reel, but it is my sizzle reel for me as a coach, not as a speaker. Then there is what you need to have, maybe a 30-second stage intro video, which is not a bad thing to have if you don't have one in writing. If you have one in writing, somebody has to be able to read it to introduce you. Don't ever introduce yourself. Introduce you within 30 seconds to a minute, not less, not more, just that. And if it's not in a written format, then you should have it in a video format that somebody can just play to introduce you. And it's about 30 seconds to 40 seconds. All good. The third thing you should definitely have is about 5 minutes of you speaking. I don't really care if you're right in front of your screen like I am right now and you do this. Hey, everybody, this is Orly Amor coming to you live. I am so excited to be here today. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 things about the public speaking industry. You see, and then you go into the 3 things that you're going to share. You share them. You give 3 tips. You do it for about 5 minutes. You record it, and then you put it into a Zoom link. Not Zoom link. It is a Zoom link. Then you put it into a YouTube link. You keep that so that if an event planner asks you for a link to you speaking, it can be just that. What they want to see is how you behave as a speaker, not because you're on a big stage with 10,000 people that it makes you any better than any other speaker out there. That's it. That's the video process. And if you have videos out there that are really all about you giving tips and doing your blog and your vlog and all that stuff, good for you. Nobody's really watching all of this. They don't have the time.
Right.
Number 6 on the stress level. Believe me, they have no time.
You wrote a book, Mindset Mastery, the 12 powers we hold within.
Yes.
Can we encapsulate those in the few minutes we have left? Because I think it's a great book. And if I'm not mistaken, you didn't send me a signed copy, Orly.
Well, how about I send you a signed copy of this one?
Now, folks, I just did an end run on my guest.
Yes, but thank God for you that we are friends, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, okay.
Absolutely. Otherwise, you know what? In cricket, I'd have found the ball back on my wicket. So let's do that, Orly, because I think it's a great book.
This is actually a great book for people who want to get into this business. Public speakers, you're not all that. 12 reasons why event planners won't hire you. I have interviewed over 3,400 event planners for this book that actually pay speakers. So this is really, really cool. And it's also, I write like I speak, so it's really cool. Like at one point it does say, but wait, there's more. And there's a lot of amazing resources at the end of it for speakers that want to get into this business or think they don't know how to do this business. This is amazing resources inside. And as far as my Mindset Mastery book, it's all about how you pivot your thinking. I actually certify coaches in Mindset Mastery, and that's really another amazing program that I created over 20 years ago, where I used to teach it to only CEOs. And when they used to ask me, well, what exactly do you do? Well, I used to tell them I'm the checkup from the neck up for CEOs.
Wow.
Because
that sounds very much like a Les Brown kind of thing.
Really?
Right? But I think
he took it from me because I didn't know Les Brown then.
Yeah, you can own that. You can own that. Go ahead, please.
But as a business coach, I don't teach people the business. I actually help them with the way that they treat their business, because it comes from here first, right? This is where it all starts. How do you treat crisis? How do you treat the way that you think every single day? And this will help you pivot any kind of circumstances in the world that are thrown at you. And believe me, as an entrepreneur, we get a lot of things thrown at us in every moment of the day.
Can we give a little offer here, a little incentive? Maybe if they give a thumbs up to our program and this is going out on Twitter, Facebook. I will be posting it, of course, on LinkedIn, on my YouTube channel. Is there something that we can do, Orly, to help people get a hold of this book?
Well, yes, actually, what they can do is, one, they can text the word impact 200. I'm going to put it in the chat for you.
Excellent.
Text the word impact 200.
And while you're doing that, you just got a
55312.
Okay,
There you go.
you just got a heartfelt heart from Lawrence Rye, um,
Okay.
right there on Facebook. So that's
Aw, thank
kudos to
you.
you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
I,
So text impact 200 to 55312. You'll get all my information there. And I invite you to, if you want to just have a discovery call completely free, go there and book one for 20 minutes. Let's have a chat on what I can support you with. Anything and everything goes. There's no strings attached.
that's
The
excellent.
other thing, if you want to get the digital copy of the both of these books, they're both like $4.97 on Amazon. Sorry, I don't have any copies on me except for one for Ronald, which I'll give him my copy, and I'll just buy my own because now you put me on the spot. But Mindset Mastery, the 12 powers we hold within, is going to come out again in October, revamped, revised, and all brand new look and everything, and hard copy, etc. Yes, so we are coming with that in October,
That's
because we're going to have a whole new class of 2021 will be graduating around that time, October, November.
Mhm.
And so we're going to bring class of 2020 and class of 2021 together for a graduation. It's going to be great. They already got their certificate, but it's going to be amazing to do a party for them.
Talking about parties, talking about recognizing people. We are all prodigies of someone else, a legacy of someone else. I
Agreed.
know that I believe in a living force. I eat well, which I refer to as living food. My parents have been very instrumental in why I'm still doing what I'm doing, why I'm still energized, why I still look out for people like you, Orly, because I think that's my brain trust, if you will.
Yes.
Who in your life have been influencers on you?
Wow, that's a great question. So there's two quotes that I live by. So I would say, your mentors don't have to be next to you. So
Right.
one is Les Brown, the how is not your business. Les Brown says the how is not your business. When you give yourself a goal that's bigger than yourself, the how is not your business. Just go do what you need to do. But the how will become in front of you when you need to. And I swear to God, he is so right. Absolutely right. The second one is from Sir Richard Branson when he says, when an opportunity knocks, say yes and figure it out later.
Yes,
Because
I like
so
that one.
many of us
I like that.
really look at opportunity and say, oh, you know what? Not right now. Or when I have the money, or when I have the time, or when I feel better, or when I lose 20 pounds, right? I lost 230 pounds. I can still tell you, yes, I have more to lose. But at the end of the day, I'm not waiting for anything to happen. I'm just making it happen. And you know what? What's the worst thing that can happen? It won't work. That's the worst thing that can happen. The best thing that can happen is that it will work. And so that's how HWNCC was created. And we are in 18 states, 6 countries, 56 chapters around the world. Of course it worked. And we never been in the red, never in the red. That's a pretty cool thing to say, with all the events we do. And I did have mentors along the way. So I have to thank, Sir Martin Rubin. He's been a huge influence in my life. He's a 33-degree Mason, but also a man of candor and a man of integrity that is beyond what I've ever imagined. He took me under his wing. And Victor Antonio was my mentor in speaking. And Bert Oliva has been a huge inspiration in my life and a great friend. And his wife, his family, just amazing people. So I have really great mentors around me. And all my life I've had that. So I'm really grateful to have been able to have these type of people around me.
Orly, I really appreciate this. This is about 8 years in the making.
I know.
We met each other 8-9 years ago, again, in Brooklyn. I think it was Adams Street, but on the Marriott Hotel, Toastmasters. It just shows that, yes, we have perseverance. Yes, we have stick-to-itiveness. We have a wealth of wellness that needs to be fed. We always talk about trying to get away from negative. Well, how about driving and forcing yourself to the positive? How about making sure that you speak nicely to other people? That is a strength. And I think you have certainly shared that with us tonight. Any last words, any departing wisdom you can give small business owners and, of course, specifically speakers?
Well, I was going to ask you, may I have 30 seconds? That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Because, a lot of people read books, right? Readers are leaders. And I believe that you need to read books. And I spoke in a very, very big audience in San Diego. I was the beginning speaker on Friday, and I was the closing speaker on Friday many years ago. And when I went on stage on Friday, I said to the audience, how many of you read The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale? And everybody, like half of the room, raised their hand. And one person in the crowd said, yeah, we all read that. And I'm like, who said that? And this guy raises his hand and he's like, me. And I said, what's your name? He's like, Mike. I said, Mike, would you do me a favor and go buy the book this weekend and tonight, because the store is still open when I'm done. Can you please go buy it, get yourself paid for it, and just read just 2 little stories in the book and come back on Sunday and tell us what you think. They redid the whole book. Can you go do that for me? He's like, absolutely. I said, can we encourage Mike to do that? He's like, yes, he could do that. So we come back on Sunday. I'm like, where's Mike? He's like, I'm here. He's all the way at the back of the room, right? I'm here. I said, Mike, did you get the book? He's like, yes. I said, did you get paid? Yes. Awesome. Did you read? He's like, some of it, not all of it. I'm like, great. What do you think? He's like, well, it's so changed from the years ago when I read this book. It's amazing. They did such a great job. I said, Mike, with all due respect, they've never redone the book. This is the exact same book from 1954. What really changed is you. And the lesson is to learn from, and as you said, what are the last words, is that stop thinking that you know everything. Stop thinking that you've done everything. Learn from every circumstance, event, people that you meet. Make everyone around you feel special and that they matter, because you just never know whose life you're going to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As Maya Angelou said to Oprah Winfrey when they were talking about her school in Kenya, I believe it's Kenya, she said, wow, what a legacy. And Maya Angelou responds, you have no idea what your legacy is. These girls will go out and do things that nobody has thought about. And I've seen recently a great discussion on African food. I say African, it's the continent of Africa and all the diverse foods that they produce. So, Orly, cheers again. We'll do it a little earlier than 8 years. We won't wait 8 years to do the next one.
That would be nice.
That would be nice, but I know I'm supposed to be around at least until I'm 92. At least the
good
upstairs told me.
Oh, that's great.
But I definitely want to thank you and congratulate you on sustaining it, making it happen. As they say, getting out of the kitchen. I love it. You know, it's nice to have that history with someone such as yourself. Orly Amor, Amor, female entrepreneur, creator of Health and Wellness Network of Commerce. Now, Orly, you show the program. Is it once every 2 weeks? Is it once a month now?
Which program? What are you talking about?
Remember? Ouch.
Ouch.
That's the beauty of being friends. You can just be
direct. Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What you talking about, Willis?
This is the end of the program. Get it right.
Which program?
What program? I didn't know I was on the program. I thought I was on a Zoom call.
I was like, is there another program that I should know about? Okay, so.
Remember the networking.
Okay, so Monday night at 8:00, we have the meet and greet for everyone, the public. And if you go on the app, HWNCC app, please all download it. You can go to all of our events for free. You can network with people. You can post on the wall. It's completely free. It's always going to be free. HWNCC app. It's on Android, on iOS. Have fun with it. Connect with me. I'm on there. And connect with with Ronald. If he's on there, you can definitely connect. Like, yeah, just do it. Are you on there? Yeah, see?
Better be.
You guys,
Now I have
keep
to
him
be.
in check. Keep him in check. Yeah, keep him in check. It's all good.
Orly,
but
thank you
speaking
very
of
much.
Maya Angelou, people will remember what what you say, or what won't remember what you say or what you do, but they will remember how you made them feel. So I'm glad that you were laughing.
Orly, you have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Folks, if you like what you hear, if you like what you see, drop a comment, add some issues and perspectives, and please like our station. Thank you very much, Orly.
Thank you.